Greetings, 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 greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian own, nothing control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. We'll always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the vault, episode 569, Sunday Trustee Training. How to hold your first board meeting. And so this is definitely going to be one of those episodes we kind of got a pulse for what trustees have been asking about. And really, this is a culmination of many different questions that are going to be rolled up into one, especially when we talk about the first meeting. So, definitely thankful for everybody tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is the Vault, episode 569, Sunday Trustee Training. Learn, what is it, how to hold uh, first board meeting. And definitely appreciate everybody that hits the like and the subscribe. Hit the like if you're a long time listener. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Definitely appreciate you all hitting the thumbs up. Definitely hit the thumbs up for the episode. Hit the hearts. Definitely appreciate it. This episode 569, Sunday Trustee Trainer, how to hold your first board meeting. This was one of those episodes where trustees have come to us for years. They want to know when they initially are in trust, having the first meeting, having the first board meeting. What are the conversations that are being held? How is that first meeting going? Who's at this meeting? And so we're going to address those current things that people ask about in that meeting because when you talk about private family trusteeship, ladies and gentlemen, no one of them looks the same. But in the initial meeting, you could say there are best practices. You could say in the initial meeting, there is a consistency across the board for great offices. Of course, that changes as they grow from generation to generation. So we're going to talk about it even from a first gen perspective to a multi gen perspective where you're in the first meeting. And so definitely have had some good readings recently. Most likely we'll do an episode about some of the content that we're going to publish and go over that. So it'll be a book review, really great book. Got a lot of great learnings out of it. Something that really set up a lot of the families. So one of the first things we want to do is first thing we want to do is we want to call the meeting. We want to organize family members to come together. Everybody may not be in trust. Some people say, oh, well, my children were going to be the beneficiaries. Well, if your children are going to be the beneficiaries and they're older than 18 years old, then there's a conversation to be had, and it's not just them being a beneficiary. It's them being aware of how the estate is being set up. This is something that we've experienced for years now, where we will be in contact with the initial principal and founder of trust and foundation, and in turn, their children are sitting in the first meeting and they're sitting in the room just for earshot, for purposes to learn, for purposes to be aware of what's going on. Traditionally, in the first meeting, we may see a family lawyer. Sometimes you don't see initial trustees always have a family lawyer. They may have a business lawyer, but they may not have a personal family lawyer. Definitely different. The business lawyer for the businesses that the family is running, managing for various different business purposes may not always be the lawyer for the family lawyer. It may not be a family law lawyer, but it may always not be a lawyer that's with the businesses. Traditionally, they can be just the independent lawyer once again that the family and the initial founder is looking to have around and make sure that they're aware of how to get things done and not get things done. Traditionally, just when you look at the lawyer position, this is something that we could spend hours and hours on because we work with trustees, and trustees end up sometimes defaulting to these lawyers to get things done. This is what they'll say, ladies and gentlemen. So you can check yourself if you talk like this, which is, I'm going to get the lawyer to set up the structures for me. I'm going to get the lawyers to tell me how the best way to do the structures are. When in all actuality, it's like asking, well, what's the most tax efficient? Would you talk to the lawyer about it? And so a lot of people ask the lawyers, they're not business managers, they're not business consultants, they're a paper pusher. A lawyer is a paper pusher. All they do when you ask them to fill out a piece of paper for something, that's what they do. We've done a reel or a short on this, which is you need a lawyer when you need a lawyer. Not all lawyers are created equal. One lawyer doesn't do everything. So there's no, oh, well, who's the ideal lawyer? Do we need to keep a family law lawyer around? Possibly. But remember, family law lawyers, they know about public law. Your family's supposed to be private. The government is child support. So if somebody wants to invite government thought process, some barred lawyer into their family private affairs, have at it. This is how you know people don't have the right perspective on things. Want to sit here and say, "Oh man, well, I'm gonna go to the family law lawyer and they're gonna help me not get 1/3 of our wealth scathed out of us just to the government." That's how it works. So when people want to explore various different options, that's why they reach out to the vault. They're not looking to be some lawyer's puppet. And you have to make this very clear. People sometimes end up defaulting to the lawyer in the first board meeting as if they're the family trustee or something. As if they're the ones that set up the whole situation. As they're the ones that built the wealth. No, they're there to make sure documents have their T's crossed and their I's dotted. That's about it. And it's challenging for trustees sometimes, first gens, to realize that sometimes because the lawyers in society have put themselves on a pedestal. Maybe people put them on a pedestal. These are people that you pay them to do a job and they go home and they're very happy with that. Lawyers are not excited to be involved in situations that family situations, protecting family assets that they have no vested interest in. So when people get that out of their mind that the lawyer is looking out for them, no, the lawyer is looking out for themselves, and that's fair. That's their job. Oh man, really, Christian? You gonna say that about the lawyer? Ladies and gentlemen, they're lawyers. They're not family trustees unless they're family trustees. So when they're sitting in this first board meeting for a trusteeship, they may not even be a trustee. They may just be a lawyer sitting in a room, a fly on the wall, making sure things are said properly, making sure messages are conveyed properly, making sure legal documents are explained properly, things of that nature. Do we have a family accountant in the room? Definitely. Once again, the family accountant actually should definitely be a new family accountant. We've experienced this time and time again. A new family accountant is definitely important because there's so many family members coming to the table. People want a high level of transparency and disclosure that they're all on the same page and that you know that is new information that's being disseminated. That they're being looked at in a proper fashion. All family members can go to this accountant across the board, things of that nature. So very new accountants, not always old accountants for older family members that have been around. And okay, let's check that. Let somebody say, well, what about a family lawyer, Christian? We got a lawyer in our family. Well, once again, we had a family come on the line recently, and they said, should we bring someone in, and how do we deal with these people? Should we deal with them in a trustee capacity, or should we deal with them as a contractor basis? A lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to be contractors. These people that are sitting at the table are going to be people that can be brought into a position, and someone else can be brought into their position. So a lot of contracts between trust and lawyers and accountants and third parties that are doing uh, things work on behalf of the actual family estate. Uh, that's just kind of how it is, ladies and gentlemen. Not everybody needs to be in a position of power. Some people can just be in positions of getting work done, work for hire. We definitely don't want people to just do one off work. At the same time, one off work gets done. It's important for your trustee to know how to execute one off work. And somebody may say, oh, well, what if I'm a family member? Well, once again, what happens when that family member gets sick, or they can't show up, or there's some type of emotional dispute, or something of that nature with that family member? Well, it's important to put yourself in a position you don't have to be dependent solely on that, and we want people to show up with a high level of enthusiasm and servant to the family. And so, in turn, we want the family to stay family. It's important when we're sitting at the family estate meeting that family knows that we're family here. We're not sitting in this room just all as vultures trying to gobble up this estate. We're not sitting as beneficiaries. We're actually sitting here as stewards. We're sitting here as servants to grow the family estate. That could be a part of the mindset that's actually asked about in the first meeting. So In the first meeting, we're talking about the team and the people that are sitting in the room once again. Do we have a secretary? Possibly. We could have a secretary for the family estate. They may be in house. They may not always be out house. They may not, you can use AI tools nowadays, but for the most part, they're most likely will be in house human. Let's go to accountant, lawyer, secretary. You may deal with a treasurer at one point. You can deal with a treasurer right away because the treasurer is inboarding and offboarding money or taking in deposits and giving out disbursements and things of that nature. So just having somebody that deals with accounting once again. Treasurer may be more in-house, and then you have out-house accounting. Out-house accounting may do bookkeeping. They may do auditing, third-party auditing that you all want, and have them as that person that serves as the family person that can do those things. So we got accountant, lawyer, secretary, treasurer. We always have people ask about these different type of positions, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, remember in your trusteeship, there's a lot of positions that can be made up that don't necessarily start in the beginning, but they can be made up. There's a lot of flexibility in trusteeship, especially private trusteeship. So just to make that very clear. So let's see what other positions. And then you think about it, depending on how big the family is. We were recently sitting in a room with some other wealthy people, and one of the things that we really went over, which was some people call it financial literacy. In the public, they usually call it financial literacy. In the private, the term was going around as just being financially savvy. Being financially savvy means you have years of experience dealing with capital. And so financially savvy is very important because this is where it is intentional that you get a financial education. Whether you're going to a business school, whether you're getting experience learning from other investors, these are things that are very very important inside of the first meeting. Having a conversation about financial education and financial savviness is whether you guys know it or not. There are tests that are being given to family members to see what their financial astute and savviness is, and then in turn creating plans from there. So one of the first things that's talked about in these board meetings is going to be education for the family to progress from one generation to the next. So when people feel like they may be neglected, the youngest generation, later generations, and then older generation, they've already been educated. One of the conversations that's going to be happening is a conversation about education and how that's to be administered throughout the family, not just this gen, but multiple generations to come. How funds are set aside for that, what specific education is going to be funded. These are the conversations that are being had. So once again, we talked about some of the parties in the room. We'll even jump back, and we're jumping around a little bit, which is how do you call this meeting? First of all, this might be one of those things that we could say is one of the biggest hurdles that people have to get over, which is calling the goddamn meeting. They call the meeting, and then everybody in the family now all of a sudden it has a doctor's appointment. They got to drop their kid off at this sport and that sport, and so this is where you see that the meetings just have to start being held, and family members have to start being accountable. This may be the hardest pill to swallow. This may be one of the bigger hurdles to overcome. I mean, we sat in a room recently with family that they have over hundreds of acres of land, and they can't seem to call a meeting. So that means that there's no leadership. So when you do see a board meeting, someone has to establish themselves as the not the first trustee, but they have to establish themselves as the chief trustee because they're the ones that can call people together and get things done. First of all, leadership is about getting things done. So when we talk about trusteeship, leadership is involved in trusteeship. Communication is involved in trusteeship. Getting people to do things is leadership. So once again, there's a leader. Somebody is able to call the meeting. Once they've established a meeting, they want to set up from that meeting a regular schedule of meetings. Now, we have trustees coming to our program. They started out doing weekly meetings, and then we've gotten some families recently. They've actually been so consistent that they can delegate out and do meetings either bi-weekly, excuse us, or even doing it once a month. Once again, that means they're doing business every single month. This family is managing their life like a business now. So the first thing is we want to establish that the family is a business. We want to establish that there's a cost in business. What is that cost? Every time we come and have a meeting, we're having a cost. So that means that we need to be able to write this off as a business meeting. We are walking into these meetings with a business mindset. We are walking into these meetings with a write-offs. That's what these meetings are for, ladies and gentlemen. So we walk into it with holding a meeting, setting up regular meetings. Once again, regular meetings, ladies and gentlemen. Oh wow, we're got to meet 12 times this year. So that's where we are. Or we got to meet, 52 times, or we got to meet 25 times, or whatever it is. It's never a convenient time for times, correct? So how's the meeting held? Sometimes the meeting is held and then it's recorded for people that cannot make it. We are involved with trustees that they actually will record the meeting. Okay. So after the meeting is incepted, now we got conversation going on. What are we talking about? First of all, and this is where we do really well in our trustee training program because we actually have a values assessment that we do with trustees. And it's the next best thing is to find out what are the values. After we find out the values, we actually have a system at the vault that we work with our trustees. So not only do they have values, we've had families come up with missions. In turn, by a family coming up with a mission, based off of their values, we have a lot of cohesion right from the beginning. We've had families do this over and over and over. This is a repeatable process with multiple families. The first thing is calling the meeting. The second thing is setting up multiple meetings after that meeting. Not only that, we're establishing positions in the meeting. How long does this first meeting need to be? Well, it doesn't need to be longer than an hour and a half. It really does need to be longer than 90 minutes. Some people may say, okay, well, how do we start the meeting? Should we just jump straight into business? Actually, we'll have that conversation because some of the studies that we've seen, even the data and feedback, family members are allowed to come in through a small non-late grace period. So that means we may start the meeting on time at a certain time, but people trickle in. But the full meeting starts 30 minutes in. But the first 30 minutes may be family conversation, catching up with family. It's a very light. No, we didn't ring the bell to start yet. We have a 30-minute grace period of conversing with love and affection as a family, and then in turn getting into business. That's traditionally how the meetings can start. It doesn't need to have a hard start of, oh, we're going to come in business right away, talk, and in and out. It doesn't work that way. A lot of conversations are built around family and conversing very lightly, in turn moving into very focused and business task oriented conversation, and in turn moving out of it and going back to doing the things that we were already doing. So once again, if somebody asks how long the meetings need to be, definitely no more than 60 to 90. In turn, you can start out with a good 10 to 15 minute, maybe 30-minute, no more, of light warm in the family. You think about it, for a shorter meeting, you're going to have a shorter period of time of ingratiating yourselves together. Whereas we may see families over, if you're going on a retreat with a family or you're doing a board meeting with the family, you may have more relaxation period time. We may talk for a while, hours, depending on if we're sitting around each other's for days. First board meeting, once again. Well, we're having a conversation about our values, about our mission. In turn, we're focused on what are the goals and objectives of each individual family member in their life? What are some of their passions? What are some of their dreams? These are things that are written down once again through a survey, through a values assessment that we have at the vault. You can feel free to reach out and get that values assessment and survey. We actually have that where you can be shared that with as a Google Doc. It is a costly values assessment. It is something that we do with our families. It's either in our program or you can buy the values assessment on your own. These are once again it's not a personality assessment. It's a values assessment once again to give you a great idea of where the family member is at. Financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, these are things that will let you know inside of it as well. In the survey, that's how sophisticated the values assessment is. And a lot of people don't know, but yes, your family members definitely want to take values assessments, personality assessments, so we can all be on the same page about how to communicate best with each other. Everybody's not a visual learner. Some people are auditory learners. With the way communication is sped up nowadays, people can receive information better through text. Some people are email people. Some people are phone call people. Some people are still visual people. So it's very important to be able to use various different modes of communication. And in turn, by being able to use various modes of communication, keeping high levels of privacy and security is of the utmost importance when it comes to this type of stuff. So definitely excited about continuously emphasizing that, emphasizing security, emphasizing privacy, but also having high levels of communication. So definitely excited about that. In this meeting here, once again, you're focused on what is the family's primary objective, you know, and things of that nature. Those are things that are going to be stated inside of the meeting. Definitely don't need to be too long with it. This is definitely a part one. The focus is once again to have a level of formality to the meeting. Some people say, "Oh, well, Christian, can you put this in a written format for us to do?" Because that's what it comes down to. Because we went over very clearly on how to have the first meeting. Write down from this episode. Okay, we need to have a set time. We need to maybe set a schedule. We also need to set some positions. These are various different things that people can do regardless of having $30 million plus or $300 million plus or having $30,000 in a savings account. You may start out the family estate with small savings. That's starting the family account. That's starting the family estate. The first board meeting may start out with savings. They may not start with somebody, oh, we got to do a liquidity event. Oh, we got a ton of money that we got to give away or anything. No. It just may be a meeting where we're meeting to start the system. And starting is very important. It's not we need to wait, we need to act. We can start working together now. So the first board meeting establishes that we are working together right now. And we are being accountable to each other right now. Bottom line. So appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listen, replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen, replay. This is Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, it's Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to reach out. Feel free if you want to get the values assessment for trustees. We have that available for trustees. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Ask about the values assessment that we give out to our trustees. Once again, it's very important to have those values assessments. We sit in rooms with families all the time, and value assessments, personality assessments, there are certain ones that give quite a great insight. Even at the vault, we use a lot of personality assessment when it comes to working with families, and making sure that they're all on the same page, able to communicate with each other, learning how they can work together more efficiently, more effectively, and that's what we do. So we look forward to working with you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Definitely looking forward to hearing from you all. It's going to be a great time this year. We've already got a bunch of families. We're actually working on our next episode, our next workshop. We're going to be thinking about June. We already have almost a day set as well. We're going to be doing, what is that, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. We already know what time it is. Cinco de Mayo is going to be our next trustee training. Very important for the people that want to, get into the trustee training. It's a great way to fill us out, and at the same time, trustees, we're looking to put on the next best thing for you all. So, really going to be focused on a book review and a few other things in this one. Trustees got some really great jam-packed tools and content to bring to you all in trustee training as well. So, looking forward to that. But feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Get going in trustee training. Always look forward to hearing from everybody. We've heard from a ton of people this year already, and just look forward to continuously serving. And just got a lot of good things that we want to give out this year already, just from the people that we were around, the resources, the relationships. Look forward to serving you all. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Definitely look forward to hearing from you.